Ladies and gentlemen, this is the often overlooked BMW 325e. This is a single owner car with 312,000 miles on it, and I'm down here in eastern Tennessee to take it for a ride. You might be noticing a whole bunch of hail damage. That's exactly what it is. What I like about this car is it's showing me all the heritage of modern BMWs. So we still have our toolkit in the trunk like so. And in the cabin there's even more. You don't notice it so much when you're driving a newer car, but when you drive an older car, you start to see where it all came from. Everything in this car is original. That's in the trunk somewhere. What I like about this car is that everything is driver focused. The dashboard all points toward me. In fact, even the shifter, when you look down here, first gear is way over. When you're in fifth, it's just right there. You can see this was carried over even through the E46 days. In fact, this would have been a really big deal back in the day, but today we still have the trip computer right here. So when I push that, we can toggle through different functions. You could even code in a start code. So if you wanted to, you could set it so that way you'd have to put in a code before you could start the car if you didn't want your friends and family driving it, or the valet. We're out in a small town called Oak Ridge in Tennessee. This is actually where they build nuclear weapons. This whole town is pretty much grown up around developing these types of weapons. I mean, this place was started in the Manhattan Project days, and this is where they brought all kinds of scientists and physicists and chemical engineers to develop these kind of weapons for the country. So it feels appropriate that I'm driving a vintage car. Car's really easy to rev manage, and the brakes, get into them, pretty good right off the bat. Sorry about that sound, that's actually just my stuff. You get into them and they, you know, the initial bite is pretty vague, but once you roll into them a little bit, they're there. And from 1986 on, all BMWs had ABS. So this car actually has ABS, even though the anti-lock light is glaring at me, telling me that it's probably not working. Feels funny when you're shifting at 3,000 RPM, but where it is on the tack makes you feel like you are really ringing it out. Tight as a drum. I don't have really any wobble from the wheels, and although the steering rack, you know, it certainly takes a little bit of effort in terms of actual motion to get the car to turn in. It's not a short rack. It's pretty good on center. There's not like a vague dead spot in there or anything. In 1986, if I went ahead and drove this, I would have been very impressed. It's not the original clutch. I think this one has about 100,000 miles on it, and it still feels really tactile. And you know, this is the kind of car you can jump in and drive right away, understanding where all of its controls are. Everything is where it's supposed to be. In fact, it actually has a more nimble feeling than, say, my E39 M5 as a driver, and that means I'm not reaching for things. Everything's where it belongs. The M5 I always describe as kind of wearing your dad's suit. It looks a little goofy, but you're swimming in it. You just got to make it work. Aside from the fact that this car is probably massively unsafe in a car accident by today's standards, this is a really enjoyable driver. And you know, if I wasn't so concerned with other drivers on the highway, I'd probably consider picking up one of these on the cheap. Few people are looking for the E. Most people want the I or the IS, and that's understandable. They're higher revving cars, they're a little more sporty, but this is such an enjoyable car to just putt around in. Ultra comfortable. is a fantastic car and well maintained, and it goes to show that if you do take care of a car, it'll treat you well. As we approach the crossroads, I think it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Go ahead and check the link above for a more in-depth video with the owner of this car. Until then, don't forget to respect the drive.